Hello, this is the Chapter 5 retest. It's on beige paper. I know you can't really tell that too well. And I wanted to make sure that everybody understood the concepts from Chapter 5, which are the beginnings for proportions. So I'm going to review this key quickly. This test is no longer available. Students can still take the basic knowledge test on Chapter 5. Really important stuff. Proportions come up all over the place and we really need to know how they work. Okay, so first off, we've got write the ratio as a fraction in simplest form, label each, please. So if you had 12 girls to 14 boys, you're going to have 12 girls as the numerator, 14 boys as the denominator, divide them both by 2, and you're going to get 6 girls to 7 boys. If you had 18 players to 3 teams, the first number you come across is the numerator, so 18 players would be the numerator, 3 teams would be the denominator, divide them both by the greatest common factor of 3, and you get 6 players to 1 team. Next, numbers 3 and 4 ask you to find the unit rate. Don't forget the correct units. So you're going to divide. 5 goes into 215 43 times, so the answer is 43 rotations per minute. Now in the US, we would just call that RPMs, and you may have heard that. So 215 rotations in 5 minutes. We don't care about 5 minutes. We want to know per 1 minute. To find the unit rate means per 1. So it's going to be 43 rotations per minute. And we can abbreviate that as RPMs. Next, sometimes you get servings of things that are not the entire bag. And so you can find out what it would be per serving. Number 4 is 84 ounces for 7 servings. So you're going to again divide 84 by 7, and you get 12 ounces per serving. 12 ounces per serving for number 4. Number 5, tell whether the ratios form a proportion. We're going to use cross products, and if the cross products are equal, then it does form a proportion. For example, 7 times 9 is 63, and 3 times 21 is 63. So, let me see if I can point it out to you. We're going to use these multiplying diagonally and get the cross products, and since they're both equal to 63, then yes, it does form a proportion. Number 6, if you multiply 20 times 5, you get 100, and 8 times 15, you get 120. So those are not equal, so those do not form a proportion. We could not put an equal sign in between them. They are not proportional. Number 7, the table shows the rates for sending text messages. Aren't we glad that text messages are now free? You can get as unlimited text messages. But if you imagine that you got 50 text messages for $5, that would be a unit rate of 10 cents each. Same would go for 75 for $7.50 and 100 for $10. They would each be 10 cents. So you see the answer says yes, the unit rate is 10 cents each. And there are several ways you could say that, but as long as you see that it's a proportional relationship, then you know that the rates are proportional, and the answer would be yes. Okay, next we're going down to graphing, and I blew it. Number 8, I changed the numbers and it goes off the graph, but the idea is still easy enough to see. Directions say use a graph to tell whether x and y are in a proportional relationship. So if we graphed, remember the graphing dance, the x term is the over term along the horizontal axis, and the y term is the up or down term along the vertical axis. So if we were to graph 2, 4, we'd start at 0, 0, go over 2, up 4. Graphing 4, 7, you'd go over 4, up 7. Graphing 6, 10, you'd go over 6 and up 10 and realize you ran out of graph. So if you just proportionally continue, you get the idea. And really bad was 8 to 13. So you see that would be way up high. Now if you connect the ones that were actually on the graph and then you just keep going, you'll see that it does not go through 0, 0. It misses 0, 0. So this is not a proportional relationship. Even though it did make a straight line, which is part of how it's part of the qualifications to be a proportional relationship, it does not go through the point of origin, 0, 0. So it's not a proportional relationship. However, number 9 is. Not only is it a straight line, but it goes through 0, 0. So it is a proportional relationship. So this is a no, this is a yes. Just a reminder that graphing, here are the points. You'd go over 3, up 9, over 6, up 18, and over 12, up 27. And that one stayed all on the coordinate grid. Numbers 10, 11, and 12 we've modified somewhat. I actually have it as two different parts where you write the proportion first and then you solve. So you'll see there's two numbers 10, 11, and 12. The first one, we just want you to use the table to write a proportion. So it's so simple. If you take the table and just draw a line underneath each and an equal sign between, boom, you already have a proportion. So number 10, the answer is 20 over 60 equals 5 over C. Number 11, same idea. M over 6 equals 40 over 4. Now, if you were going to solve these, you have two ways to solve. The quickest way is to look for a shortcut to see if there's a scale factor that you can use. So I noticed that one of the scale factors you could use is 20 times 3 is 60. So 5 times 3 is 15. C equals 15. We put that answer right here. Next, if you were going to be going upward, 4 times 10 is 40, so 6 times 10 is 60. So M equals 60. Now we have the proportion song, and this is really key for number 12. A lot of people had difficulties with this, but if we remember, proportions are the two ratios you label to set up just fine. They are equal, so you cross multiply, then divide the product on both sides. On both sides, you divide by the coefficient on both sides. Don't forget percent or units at the end, and always, always simplify. So this one has 5 stickers, cost $4, and then you were given the cost C if you buy 2 stickers. So you have to put the stickers with the stickers and the cost with the money down below. Once you've done that, you can use cross products. So 5 times C is 5C, and 2 times 4 is 8. Then you divide by the coefficient on both sides. The answer is going to be $1.60 because you're talking about money, and we're missing our decimal point being very clear there. Let me make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. All right, now we're on to the back. Same setup for number 13 and 14, super simple. You're just going to draw your lines, equal sign, and you have your proportion. So it's 17 over S equals 68 over 100. Here it's 2 over 10 equals F over 55. Now I gave these as 2 points extra credit each if you were able to solve. And there happens to be a shortcut. 68 divided by 4 is 17, so 100 divided by 4 is 25. S equals 25. Here you can see that 10 divided by 5 is 2, so 55 divided by 5 would be 11. F would equal 11. Number 15 was the toughest question on the test, but if you labeled pounds to money and you set it up just fine, you'll be great. 5 times C is 5C, $9.95 times 8 is $79.60. Divide by the coefficient 5 on both sides, and you get C equals 15.92. I had my X's there, but then I realized, oh no, they told us the variable. So you can choose the variable. If they give you one, you should use what they give you. So number 15, the answer is $15.92. Number 16, we're looking for shortcuts, and you can see the double arrows. Remember, they're always pointing in the same direction. Just to remind you, these two are both pointing to the left, these two are both pointing to the right, these two are both pointing down, and these two are both pointing to the right. You can choose which direction you want to go. You're looking for a connection, and you're always trying to make sure that the arrows are pointing toward the variable. It has to be both of the arrows pointing toward the variable. The variable's on this side, the arrows go that way. The variable's on the top, the arrows go up, and you see how it fits. So looking at number 16, if you know that 7 times 12 is 84, which is a good thing. If you haven't studied your times tables and you forgot that, you should review. Go back and use the helpful tips for basic operations videos, and you can practice your times tables. But since 7 times 12 is 84, you're just going to do 3 times 12, and you're going to get W equals 36. For number 17, this is an easy moving the decimal twice, so you can think of Mr. T. For each 0 in the power of 10 number, you move the decimal 1 time to the right. Mr. multiplying to the right, moving the decimal, Mr., and the T stands for the power of 10. So if you're multiplying by 100, you're going to use Mr. T power, and you're going to move the decimal 2 times to the right. We'd need to fill in with a 0. So let's do the same thing with 2.3. If you're multiplying it by 100, you move the decimal twice to the right and you fill in with a 0. The answer is going to be A equals 230. Number 18, here you can go downward to figure out 5 times 5 is 25, so 4 times 5 is 20. D equals 20. And here the connection is 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. T equals 6. Now we're on to slope. Slope has a great phrase. It's rise over run. Rise over run. And if you do it with your hands, you can, it's a little hard to see. Let me do it with the point of the tip. So you would count rise over run, rise over run, rise over run, like stairs. And if the points that you create are going upward, it's a positive slope. And if they were going downward, it would be a negative slope. So you can find out about the slope by counting the rise over the run. Now if you're looking at this one, let's look at number 21 first because it's easier. So first you graph 2, 1. This is your ordered pair. You go over 2, up 1, put your point. 5, 3, you go over 5, up 3, put your point. Now if we were to count the jumps, you'd count 1, 2 till you're right across from the other dot. So you rose 2 and you run 1, 2, 3. So your fraction is 2/3, so the slope for number 21 is 2/3. Now for number 20, you've got to watch out for the scale. They actually went up by 2. See how it says 2, 4, 6? Same thing here, 2, 4, 6. So if we graph 2, 2, it's right here, 2, 2, and then we graph 4, 6, it's here. But if you were counting each unit and you did its own little bump for each unit, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 for the rise, and 1, 2 for the run. 4 over 2, rise over run, which reduces down to 2 over 1, or if you wanted to reduce that down to 2, that would be okay also. So number 20, the answer is 2. Okay, number 22. This is a great question. You and your friend are working, and you're each making an hourly rate. So we're trying to figure out what the hourly rate is. If you earn $120 for 12 hours of yard work, did a lot of yard work growing up. Really great way to make money. 12 goes into 120 10 times. You're making $10 an hour. Your friend gets $165 for working at a store for 15 hours. So this is 15 hours going into 165. He gets $11 an hour. Now, who has the greater hourly rate of pay? Your friend does. He gets $11, you get $10. That's letter A. What would you earn if you did 15 hours of yard work and were paid at your same hourly rate? Well, that's $10 per hour, so it's 15 times 10. You would earn $150. And that is all for the Chapter 5 retest. Thanks. Bye.